Vice President Kamala Harris is riding high into the DNC after 4 weeks of just nonstop energy. Groups of all backgrounds turning out in droves over Zoom to support Harris. That momentum now winning over some Republican voters. Republicans this week hosting their own Zoom in support of Harris. Here's Jeff Duncan, former lieutenant governor of Georgia.
What story do you want to tell your kids and grandkids? Do you want to tell them that you voted for a morally bankrupt person, a womanizer, an indicted felon, a convicted felon, just because he had an R next to his name? Or do you want to tell them that you had the courage to vote for somebody that was morally decent?
The Harris wall surge reportedly has the GOP, quote, spooked. House Republicans issue a warning to ramp up fundraising efforts as the nonpartisan Cook political report showing Harris leading or tied with Trump in 6 of the 7 swing states. But plenty of Republicans are still bending the knee, staying loyal to the former twice impeached, 34 times convicted president. Former Senator Richard Burr, who voted to convict Trump over January 6th, now says he's going to vote for him. Former Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, who defied Trump and rightly certified the state's election results in 2020, also announcing his support. Joining me now to discuss is former Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman. He spoke on the Republicans for Harris Zoom call. And also with us is Tara Setmeyer, former GOP communications director and co-founder of the Seneca Project. Congressman, first off, it's great to meet you on air. You used to represent my alma mater, Charlottesville, in the district, UVA. I have to ask, one of the things that's been so fascinating about this sort of Harris surge is the amount of self-organizing, right? Black women got together for Harris. Jewish women got together for Harris. White guys got together for Harris. These things seem to be occurring organically. How did Republicans for Harris come about? Was it a bunch of grand old party people saying we need to talk? Was it people who were already in place to do this? How'd this come about?
Hey, and thanks for having me. And by the way, I'm very happy to be an advisor on the Seneca Project. You know, I think I'm the only guy on there, so it's pretty exciting, you know. But I think it came around because, yeah, I mean, I'm probably excited about that. But I think it was an idea by one individual who then started calling people and say, hey, can we get this organized? He had people that already had links to the Biden campaign, you know, the Republicans for Biden. So they sort of went over and said, hey, maybe we can actually organize this. So I got a phone call and they said, Denver, you want to be a part of this? I'm like, yes. And you were talking about, JC, you were talking about, you know, white guys for Harris, whoever for Harris, unicyclists for Harris, you know, you go down the line, and you have Republicans for Harris. I think it's just the sane for Harris. And, you know, I always said that sanity should be a baseline when you're voting for somebody and facts should be your guide. And I think if we have sane people that are starting to gather around, if you put all these groups together, it's a massive coalition of the sane that are going after Donald Trump. And that's why I think this is so exciting.
Tara, I want to play you some sound from pollster Frank Luntz about why people who maybe didn't support Biden are supporting Harris. Get your thoughts on the other side.
Switched over primarily because of the lack of respect coming from one side of the Republican Party.
I switched because J.D. Vance scares the heck out of me.
I actually was a Trump voter in 16 and 20. When he chose J.D. Vance, it kind of pushed me over to having an open mind.
The RNC looked like a wrestling match.
Even if I don't agree with all her policies, I trust that she'll have good judgment.
Tara, I think this is huge. I philosophically don't tend to believe in swing voters. I think most people, if you push them, feel one way or another. But these are people who are talking to Frank Luntz who are saying, yes, I voted for Trump twice, and now I'm switching. What is the Harris campaign, Harris Walls campaign offering that's making people switch sides? What's making them say, look, I don't agree with her on everything, but I'd rather vote for her than bring Donald Trump back into office?
Yeah, they're offering hope, joy, normalcy, sanity, to Denver's point. They are bringing back normalcy to politics and to American everyday life, as opposed to the really dark, ugly, regressive view that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are presenting. I mean, the whole MAGA vision is about bringing us back to a time where you and I didn't have the same rights, where as women, we didn't have the same rights and we're second-class citizens, to a time where some type of nostalgic time making America great again, whatever the hell that means. So people are sick and tired of the Vegas Lounge Act regurgitating of the grievances and all of the negativity that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And you couple that with J.D. Vance, who doesn't clearly know who he is as a person, has reinvented himself several times. I think he has issues he needs to work out in a lot of areas, and he clearly has a disdain for women. So you now have a mega MAGA misogynist ticket, the most anti-woman ticket we've ever seen, and the Americans are looking at this going, we do not want this anymore. We've lived through that nightmare before. We are not going to live through that again. And for us at the Seneca Project, we're bipartisan. We are a bipartisan women-led organization that is talking to those moderate women in those battleground states and to the girl dads like Denver who are saying they don't want their kids or their daughters growing up in a world run by people like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump who behave this way. They don't. And this is a perfect example. That focus group is a perfect example of the type of people. We don't care if you voted for Trump twice before, as long as you don't vote for him this time. Because at this point now, we're talking about the character of the nation, the soul of the nation, and who you are as a person making that decision of who you want to lead us into the future. Do you want to move forward or do you want to move back? And Harris and Walz represent the future.
You know, Denver, I'm very moved by this because you came up with a great new slogan when I asked you the last question. We're going to bring sanity back. Yeah, maybe they could get, you know, Justin Timberlake to sing that. I think what you're seeing, the erosion at the top of this ticket, right, with centrists and Republicans saying, hey, look, we can't go there with Trump again. We can't do this again. I'm curious, what do you think could happen down ballot? Because I think one of the concerns, quite frankly, that Democrats have with Joe Biden is he was dragging down the entire ticket and down ballot races were at risk. Do you think that might happen now because Trump and J.D. Vance have become so toxic at the top of the Republican ticket?
I think, guys, great question. I think 1 + 1 = 3 here. I think picking J.D. Vance, right, as a bloviating strap hanger, right, almost as a wart to Trump's campaign, I think really does, you know, bring the ticket down. Because people are going to look and say, listen, these are two people who said awful things about women. And by the way, there's a baseline here. We talk about sanity. Why are we voting for rapists? Well, why are we voting for felons? Why are we voting for people who are conspiracy theorists? Why are we voting for people who love dictators? Why are we voting for people who think they should pardon the January 6th criminals? And why are we voting for people who self-identified as doing awful things to women when you talk about the tape on the bus with Donald Trump? And for me, it's very basic as a Republican. You don't vote for bad people. And I know, I know that's pretty simplistic, but why would you do this? And even, I got to tell you, there's some things, and Tara will tell you, right? Kamala Harris, there's some things I'm going to say, oh my God, I don't really agree with that. But you know what? She's sane. She's sane. And I think that's what I want people to take out of this is let's just vote for sanity again. Let's just vote for good people. Why in the hell are we following, you know, these jack wagons right down the, you know, down the drain? Why don't we do the right thing and vote for good people?
Congressman Denver Riggleman and Tara Setmeyer, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening on The Beat.